Oh man, that trip to Alaska was great. There's so much work to do in the garden. I wonder if Jacques got up to anything while I was gone. Let's see. Oh, garden homestead takeover.
This is the part of the episode where we have to shame Kevin for doing such a sloppy Florida weave.
Wait, what? Oh my God. Bro,
Hey,
please.
I'm here to help at least because I didn't do everything in the garden. I left a little bit for you to do as well.
It's time for a classic chores episode. Okay, I feel like we planted too many beets this year,
Yeah, I think so.
but you plant them, you harvest them, right? You reap what you sow, literally.
I don't know what you're doing to your soil though, because you're not growing regular beets.
Oh, I'm not, is the thing. Like these are just so big. Well, if you let them grow for a long time, I mean, they do get bigger.
But I mean, come on.
But yeah, they are quite sizable. The problem with growing beets this good is I like beets. I mean, I really do. Yeah. I found a couple beet salad recipes. I think I put it up in an episode this year, but I don't like them that much. Like I don't like them to the tune of 70 pounds a year.
Well, this is like 4 or 5 beets.
That's 4 or 5 beets. Yeah, for one man. So
what's your deal with these? Do you chop tops and store just the roots?
apparently the best way to do a beet is to chop just the top and don't do anything else.
Oh, okay.
Because you want to take all the water sucking ability of the tops off. So you can just do that.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't do anything else until you're ready to actually process the beet.
I mean, you
Just
got a
leave it
lot
like
of
that.
processing.
I mean, you could brush some salt,
Yeah,
I
sure.
guess, but like you don't even wash it.
So I think most people would probably be happy with that right there.
That's the thing, dude. I'd be happy with that. I would have been happy with that. I would have been happy. But it was kind of very satisfying. First of all, pulling any root crop satisfying,
Yes.
but then twist topping the beet.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That
and
sounds
it feels good.
Feels good. Spiritually, it also is very nice for you. I've heard. I've heard at least
It releases something inside.
something.
So now it is fully summer. Like
Yeah.
we're in July.
We're in July.
So I don't know. What are you
Actually,
thinking about?
Surprised that these kind of held on. We've had, as you can tell, not the most hot July though.
Yeah.
So actually got a rain alert yesterday. Didn't rain, but got an alert for it, which
Almost
is surprising.
never does.
Yep, almost never does.
But at this point, like,
What am I
I've been
putting-
trying to think about what I've been putting in.
Yeah.
Like I did another round of bush beans.
I think it's a good idea. I haven't done a ton of beans this year.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe this is a great bed for beans, a little circle bed like this. So maybe we'll just do that here. You can probably sow that right now. We can probably even do that bed right there with some beans.
Oh yeah.
Because beans to me, I can have a huge harvest of. I'm not mad at all.
I'm always fine with that.
Because you do a lot of dried beans, right?
Yeah, I've been actually messing around with the dry beans, and this year I'm gonna have like pounds of scarlet runner beans
Really?
because normally they don't do that well. Like they're okay,
Yeah.
but this year I must have got the timing right.
And those are for drying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could eat them fresh, I guess, which I haven't tried yet. But they're such beautiful beans.
Yeah.
Like that speckled color gets me every time.
They're really-
Every time.
I always have thought of them as like a British bean for some reason. Because I saw him at Charles Dowding's garden many years ago when I toured his garden. And I don't know why, ever since then, he sort of incepted me. I thought, like, oh, those are British. They're British.
They're definitely like an OG heirloom bean.
Yeah, they're very pretty. I mean, honestly, that's workable.
Yeah.
That's a workable.
I thought it was
amount
gonna
of
be
beets.
like an insane mound.
Let me know down in the comments what we should make with these beets, because the beet salad, I can make it and I will make it, but I can't make this much beet salad.
Maybe another ravioli.
No. Editor, do not put up the beet ravioli. Do not put up the beet ravioli.
Put it up.
All right, Jacques, we've got the wall of Tommy's. One of the better tomato beds though.
Yeah.
Doing really well, kind of like a mini Florida weave. And then we did this cool conduit technique.
I really like that.
Yeah, this was Paul's idea on the team. It's cheap electrical conduit, or as cheap as it is these days at least, with just green spray paint.
Yeah, and it makes it really quite hidden.
Yeah.
Like it's very stealth now.
Yeah. And that's probably the cheapest way you could get like an aesthetic look. Of course, you don't have to.
While still being sturdy enough.
While still being sturdy. So what we're gonna do is, it's getting to be that time of year where the tomatoes are getting hit. And like I said, we haven't had the hottest, kind of windiest summer. So these tomatoes are getting hit with some powdery finally.
Yeah, because as we know, like with powdery mildew, it really gets encouraged by humidity more than anything.
And it's muggy right now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yesterday was gross.
yesterday was great. We went on
For a San Diego guy.
a little jaunt.
Not
it
good.
It was, yeah, not attractive for sure.
So maybe I'll actually go get some twine so I could pick up this a little bit while you work on those dead leaves.
Yeah, I'll clear all these dead leaves off.
And I'll be right back. All right, so I kind of I failed you a little bit here on my duties when I was watching over the garden
Yeah,
because I did
nothing new.
not actually weave this.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do now is what I call the saving weave, which is not a weave at all. all I'm gonna do
Here's
here.
the thing, everything in gardening becomes something as soon as you name it.
Yeah. So this is the not a weave.
Not a weave.
So I'm not gonna weave it, basically. I'm just gonna run the string across these plants and try to pick them up.
Yeah.
And then later we could try to weave if we really feel like it.
Call it the lift. It's
yeah.
It's the tomato face lift.
There you go.
Body lift.
So I'm gonna try to get underneath this.
Apparently that's the new thing, by the way, guys.
Oh yeah?
If you're like 36, you just lift your whole face up and now you're 18 again or whatever. If you're 40, you know, now you're 20.
I don't know if I'm ready for that world.
People are saying you don't do the Botox anymore. You just lift your whole face up.
I'm doing the tomato talks. Just get my face in here and I get younger.
You know what mine is? It's called get fatter again. Your face looks plumper and people can't tell.
They're like, wow, what'd you
that you're
do?
old. I have that youthful face because I'm just chunkier.
The only goal here is basically to try to get these from leaning so much.
Yeah.
So it's not really organizing it, but at least now you could see all this stuff is exposed, easier to prune, and it opened up more light to the peppers up here.
And really all I'm doing by ripping out all the dead material is trying to slow the development of powdery. It's definitely not gonna stop it.
No.
But with humidity and moisture, having a lot of dead decaying material here is pretty much exactly what it would want. So I'm gonna take some of that away.
Yeah, and that should increase the airflow too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, we've revealed some tomatoes. There's actually a really nice ripe one over here. I'm gonna harvest that. Look at that.
Oh,
That's nice.
yeah, that's a pretty one.
That's really nice. Okay, that's probably fine. Let's see how the lift looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
I mean, it opened up. You could see how much fruit's in there.
Yeah.
There's actually another ripe one hiding in here.
Plus, this is part of the weave.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, these would be some nice slicers. I'm gonna go get some, ooh, little blossom end rod on that.
Oh.
That's okay, just cut it away. Just cut it away.
That's true. It is still an edible tomato for anyone wondering at home.
Just cut it away, guys. Just cut it away. Look, guys, it's Jacques round 2 in the greenhouse, just hopping around. Spiritually, that's you.
Yeah, California Tohi, sign me up.
It's in there. It's
That's
just
my
like
life.
right under there. Oh, nice
So
move.
satisfying cutting these leaves.
Hey, look, I'm Totoro.
Fly off.
Draw me. Someone draw me like
There
this,
you go.
guys. I'm an artist now, by the way.
It's true.
So, Jacques, last year, the saga of the banana came to its first conclusion.
Yeah.
And now a sequel.
And this one looks like it's gonna be a lot bigger.
Look at the bees.
Oh, wow.
There's bees on the actual banana.
Oh, there's like 3 hands exposed.
Oh, there's one there.
Yeah.
There's one there. Yeah, so this is by far the biggest banana flower we've seen yet. And I think it's actually a much bigger banana.
Yes, it's
As well.
taller too, for sure.
It's dramatically taller. So we should get, I think last year we got 84 little bananas.
Okay.
Like you know,
yeah. This is the same one, right?
this is the same banana.
Okay.
Yeah, not the same
Yeah.
plant, but the same species or same cultivar. So I'm excited. We've already put up our stand because it's
Heavy duty.
it's leaning quite heavily. I'm still actually afraid it will break, but we'll have to see. We did a banana guide on the main channel, and I highly recommend watching it because bananas are a little weird, especially when, you know, you're not living in the tropics. Okay, the grapes of wrath, guys. Not even wrath though, because it's more celebration, but
It is a celebration.
which one's the one that's gonna go to the river and, you know what I mean?
Don't answer.
Don't answer. Anyways, no, the grapes are looking really good. This is my first year, Jacques, getting, I did get some last year, but
Yeah.
like this is by far my biggest year.
I'm seeing like 1, 2, I'm gonna count that as like 3 or 4.
Yeah, here's 1,
So that's like 5.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's over there. There's
And another one.
You know what? Let's do a taste test.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hit me with some grapes.
I'll get you some grapes, my friend. Because this is probably the most this is probably the most ripe cluster here. You've already got some, I guess. So let's try to eat and see. Flame seedless
They're
grape.
really good. I actually really quite like these.
Wow.
Which is funny because when I first grew the flame, because I have the same grape at home,
Yeah.
I was bummed because it was the only one that showed up as being compatible. That's not true. But when I first got it, I didn't know much. And it's actually delicious.
No, it's very tasty.
I didn't expect it to be that good.
I would say I love cold grapes. I want to put this in the fridge and then I want to eat it. But dang, these are really
The
good.
most important thing to me is that they're crunchy and crisp.
They pop.
Yes,
They pop.
These
yeah.
pop. They're not like squish.
You know what it's like? It's like nature's popping boba. You know, not the chewy ones, but the ones that pop.
Yeah, it actually is very familiar to that feeling.
Yeah. Which is funny because really this was the first. This came first.
The OG,
This came
the
first.
OG popper.
But yeah, no, I highly recommend grapes. We just shot a video. It'll come out soon on the main channel. But grapes, I would say, Jacques, at least for me, it's a 2-3 season process to get to this point.
It's all about training it, basically.
It's all about training because you have your stem, you have your cordons, which are the guys running along the string line. Then there's the spurs on those that are throwing up the buds and the shoots.
Right.
And the shoots is what's producing, or canes. I'm actually a little confused on like the terminology as far as like shoots and canes.
I can never get it straight in my head forever. I have to read it every time.
I have to read it every time, but.
Basically the new growth of the year is what the grapes form on.
Right. So after this shoot right here, this cane will not produce grapes again. So by the time fall comes, you're gonna cut it all the way back down to the spur.
Yes.
Basically. And then you're gonna prune and train this vine to keep stretching. And at some point you probably even have to like trim that down because it's gonna wanna keep going.
I'd say this is like close to 30 feet across now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, and you know what we learned, guys? Because we did some study on viticulture, basically. It takes 14 to 16 leaves to perfectly ripen up, or to have enough photosynthetic energy to ripen up one cluster of grapes. So what we notice is this is getting blasted by the most sun right here. Underneath the avocado tree, we have actually really nice looking grape buds.
yeah, it looks healthy.
No fruit has been
Zero.
set, because in the shade, a leaf goes from 100% efficiency in the sun to 6% efficiency, which would mean, call that 5%,
Yeah.
right? If you need 14 to 16 leaves in the sun, how many would you need?
20x that.
You'd need 20 times the amount of leaves to ripen up in the shade.
Yeah.
So placement's
Which
really
works out.
important, which means to grow grapes there, think about it,
Yeah.
I actually have to prune a different plant.
Yeah, it's true.
Prune my avocado, my grapes will grow.
It's such a good avocado though.
I know, I'm not
really
going
wanna
I'm not
do
going
it.
to. I'm not going to. I'm just saying I could. I could do it. Okay, we're in the citrus jungle now, Jacques, and it truly is. This is the tallest it's ever been.
Yes.
Which is cool.
And this is the most vigorous one I think you have here.
Probably the bear's lime.
Yeah.
The bear's lime, which I'm a little sad to maybe be taking off some of these limes up top.
I
But
don't know, man.
There's hundreds down, like
Yeah.
literally there are
I think you
hundreds.
got like maybe 300 last year. So I don't know if it matters.
I'm not that worried. Well, the whole thing about this is, remember, you want to bring, at least with my citrus hedge idea that has been in the works for like 4 years
Yeah.
now, you really want the hedge to be balanced.
Okay.
So this is low, this is way taller. The sun angle is more likely to block on this side.
I see.
So I want this to be at least as tall as this.
So that's what we're shooting for.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we prune, we'll talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Shopify. They've been a sponsor of Epic for a few years now.
As long as I could remember.
And they've been a part of Epic for 6 years now. We've been using them to power our store, both in person, online, and with Botanical Interests, our seed company. So Jacques, you remember the early days, going down to the warehouse. How much easier did Shopify make?
It made my life a lot easier because I was literally shipping packages for everyone.
Yeah.
And so to be able to see everything coming in an organized, clear fashion made it so much easier to get everything out the door on time.
Neither of us are web developers, neither of us are fancy back-end people. Shopify made all that so much easier. As we've grown, it's also helped quite a bit with all sorts of more complex stuff in the back end of a business. So huge supporters of Shopify here. I have to say,
Thank you.
probably the most important app that we use at Epic. Big fan of it. You can get a free trial at shopify.com/epic homesteading. That's shopify.com/epic homesteading. And now back to the pruning, Jacques. Feels a little,
I'm getting stabbed over here.
yeah,
by
because
you.
the bear's lime is spiky too.
Yes, but it is delicious.
But it smells good.
It does smell really good.
Even cutting the leaves
Yeah.
kind of
It's
smells.
almost like some fancy cologne or something.
Yeah, you know.
So the thing-
Oh, the bears.
Oh, the bears. Yeah, I like this one because apparently this is a lime that's not a true lime.
It's like some sort of hybrid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing that I like about it is that in our climate, as we mentioned earlier, it's not that hot. And for a true lime, you need heat.
Yeah.
And this one will do well even in more temperate climates.
Yeah.
And also, it is delicious.
And you just picked one up, I believe, right?
Yeah. No, I have one in a container, and I'm actually going to put one in ground now as well because it's so good. It's so juicy.
Yeah.
It's not like as acidic as a standard lime, but I'm fine with that.
Well, you just use lime so much for cooking too.
Yes.
That, by the way, you can actually buy a bear's lime directly from Epic.
Yeah.
On our store, we'll ship it right to your door. Great variety.
Fantastic.
Easily my most productive citrus.
By far.
By almost to the point where I'm like, give me a more satsuma
like maybe
oranges or
chill,
something. Because
maybe
look,
chill.
like the satsumas that's buried right there.
Yes.
I want those, and they're coming up right now. And so if I bring this down, I will get more satsuma.
Yeah.
Because I won't be
That makes
blocking
sense.
off as much.
Because light is what creates fruit.
Right, light is what creates fruit. Yeah, and bricks and sugar and all that kind
Oh
of
yeah, the tasty fruit, I guess, is the
Yeah.
important thing here.
Totally.
So now we're pretty close to matching the height here, and I think we're good to go.
It's been a while since we've showed off Dragon Alley, Jacques. I think it's a good time to show it off.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah, this is one of the things I did not touch while you were gone because I do not know what to do here.
Well, we had planted Dragon Alley completely anew last year, the beginning of last year, when Richard from Grape and Dragon Fruit came by, and then they grew so fast.
This is crazy that this has only been here for, I guess, a full year now.
This growth is off of 16 months worth of single length cuttings, right? So imagine that, and then look at all these. I actually don't know what variety this is.
Oops,
I forgot. I got to text Richard and see if he can tell me, but this is probably the prettiest flower I've ever seen.
I agree.
Dragon fruit.
Yeah, and apparently prolific.
It's prolific. I mean, look, we're actually gonna, you know what? Let's do it right now. Every stem, Jacques, this is dragon fruit lesson.
Okay.
Right? Every stem, no more than 2 or 3.
And when you say stem, is that like a segment?
A segment.
Okay.
Yeah, a segment. So like in this case, there's 5 on this one segment. It's too many. So you're gonna have to remove them. And I'm gonna be removing this one right back here. So twisting off is okay, but sometimes doing that V cut off is a little bit better.
My least favorite part of gardening is sacrificing the harvest.
Yep.
I know it's for the greater good.
And then in this case, since there's still 5, I'm gonna space them. So I'm gonna take middle.
I already forgot. Did you say 3 or 5 per stem?
3.
Okay.
Go to 3.
All right, then I'm gonna chop one of these.
Because there's a lot of resources dedicated to producing one of this, you know?
And do you cut at the actual stem?
I do a V cut and cut a chunk out like that. So on the stem, there'll be a little V chunk.
Okay.
Like as little of one as you can make, but they're very hardy plants.
Yeah.
It's ideal to do this when they're a little bit younger because you could just twist off the flower bud, which would be, you know, coming out of one of these little spikes here. Yeah, that's a good setup. So like in this case, see like these are all right next to one another.
Right.
Even though they're on different stems, you still want to remove.
Yeah, like I'll remove this one because it's gonna just get in the way of the other.
It's gonna clap. And so like if they're this small, you really can twist them.
Okay, let's see.
Which is
yeah,
nice.
Actually I twisted off really nice.
Yeah, it twists off okay.
I wonder if like you could eat the flower somehow. Probably not.
You know what? You probably can. You probably can.
I guess you could eat anything.
You can eat anything. Whether you live is another story. But guys, gloomy, muggy day. We got a lot more to do here, so we're gonna shut the camera off, but it's good to be back. More stuff coming on Epic Homesteading. Maybe some creative new things. You never know. Maybe I'll magically appear in the pond again. Scare you for your whole life. We'll see you on the next one. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.
See you guys.